where are you getting that? Where's the data? You go, there is no data.
So why do you think they didn't like or respect Trump?
The guy's a joke.
He is.
Yeah. To zoom out from anecdotes and to look at the broader data, fair to introduce these 4 categories?
Break it down for us that, we don't have your intelligence. What's your show about?
News and politics?
You should know this stuff. You're the expert.
Patrick, you're not really doing this, are you?
I want to see a poll on that. Do you have a poll on that?
Not offhand.
Then how could you say, why, do you have a poll? Give me a poll.
Patrick.
But no, give me a poll because that's an anecdote now.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to be watching David Pakman get absolutely tied into a pretzel by Patrick Bet David. This one is very entertaining because with hindsight in mind, considering this was from 2023, we get to just look at all of the slimy little tactics, all of the bad faith arguments, and all of the ways in which he's trying to pretend to be all nuanced and trying to pretend to be reasonable. And we just get to cut right through it. David Pakman is just one of the snakiest of snakes. And the best part about this for me is just how much it is clear on Patrick Bet David's face and in his body language that he hates Pakman. You see, Patrick is a tough guy and he comes from an honor culture in the Middle East and he operates with respect. David Pakman reminds me of Randall from Monsters Inc. Literally the exact same facial structure. So let's have a look at the first part where David tries to pull a bunch of cheap rhetorical and debate tactics on Patrick, and listen closely because towards the end, Patrick flips the script and uses his exact same logic against him. Let's get into it.
And quite frankly, and this is where, the Trump people email me and they get very mad. If this, not my opinion, if we go by Gallup opinion survey, what other countries think of the U.S., opinion of the U.S. has dramatically improved since Biden replaced Trump. I think that matters. I'm not an isolationist, so I think it's important that other countries respect the office of the presidency. And under Trump, it was a joke, literally laughed at the UN, goes to India, mispronounces 10 Indian names, and the crowd is just leaving. It was a humiliation everywhere he went. So I think that's it's like a soft thing that I think is really good.
So the fact that we're no longer feared is a good thing.
I don't know where you're getting that we are no longer feared.
So you think people fear Biden?
What I'm asking you is what data do you have that we are no longer feared?
Well, what data is not any data to give. I mean,
then how do you know it is?
Well, no, but during Biden is when Russia felt comfortable bullying Ukraine. During Biden is even if you look at Afghanistan on the way we left, people on the left were not happy by the way we left Afghanistan.
Which people?
Even 82 billion. I can give you a lot of different names.
Like who?
CIA. Who was a CIA guy that we had here who was on
Philip Mudd
with a Z? What's his name?
Matt Zeller.
Matt Zeller, CIA agent who was on MSNBC. He called him out. He was on MSNBC with.
But that's one person, right?
No, but there's a lot of them though. If I actually pull it up and if I do the Google search on it, I'll find plenty of names from their own side.
Let's do it. That's fine. But I think one important thing to back up is you first kind of gave me what's not really a very fair question. You go, are you not worried that the U.S. is no longer feared?
So you're saying they don't fear you?
But hold on. Let me finish my response. Okay. Yeah. You first presented to me, and these are a lot of conversations go like this. You present to me, is it not a concern to me that the U.S. is no longer feared? And I said, well, where are you getting that? Where's the data? You go, there is no data. So let's first start with.
What I said is it's not the fear. I didn't say there's no data. You can't pull data. Meaning you can't find data on fear.
Then how do you know that that's
fear
the
is
case?
action? Fear is action.
So just take note here, guys, because this is exactly what Pakman does in these sorts of debates. Every time somebody tries to make a claim, even if it is a common sense statement, he'll say, well, what's the data? Where's the studies?
What data do you have? Where's the data? There's no data.
That's just an anecdote. Give me examples of that. And obviously, when you're having a conversation or a debate on the fly, it's hard to just produce all of this data. It's annoying and it's unreasonable to be able to expect people to be repositories of data and of numbers and stats. But I mean, it's okay to ask people for evidence. But let's just get this clear. If you want to hold people to that standard, then you better come correct. You better be armed and dangerous yourself, because they might just hold you to the exact same standard. And then another trick that he likes to play is when somebody makes a claim that might look bad for his side, he'll just say, oh, I don't have the data on that. And this is another cheap trick and a way to weasel out of having arguments that you're just going to lose. For example, if they said going to drag shows is objectively bad for little kids, he would say, well, I haven't seen the data on that. And that is actually an argument that he would make. But in terms of the election, I hope he looked really long and hard at the data following the recent election because it's all there for you. So let's carry on now, and the next bit sets the stage well for what's to come.
Make the argument. Go back to the argument about the fact that America on all polls today is, would you say, liked? What was the word you used?
So I think the really important thing when we talk about this is we talk about what we can measure. So the Gallup polling that has been done.
So you trust polls?
Oh, come on.
But that's where we're going, though.
There are lots of different...
I trust certain polls, too, but I'm saying, so you trust polls?
If you say, do I trust a Rasmussen Republican primary poll 18 months before an election, I would say that's not very valuable. I don't think that's valuable. The Gallup public opinion sentiment poll that has been done over many, many presidents in the same way, I think that that's a pretty good poll just to give a sense of how the world feels about the American president. I have no reason to distrust that. There are other polls where I would have a specific reason to distrust. But we're kind of going like 10 tangents here. I think if we want to talk about, am I upset that the U.S. isn't feared, since you brought that question forward, the appropriate thing would be for you to give me the data.
But no, go back to what you said. You said U.S. is what? You said you like the fact that U.S. is liked more today under Biden?
No, I didn't use that term.
What was the term you used, if you don't mind saying it again?
On average, countries respect the U.S. more now that Biden is president.
And
Trump
you value that?
I think it's important because can I tell you why?
Sure.
I think it's important because between trade and globalization and problems we deal with that don't respect the borders of countries, it's important to be, again, it's not about liked, it's not about, it's to be respected globally. I do think that actually matters.
So why do you think they didn't like or respect Trump?
Just quickly, guys, if you have not liked the video and if you would not mind doing that, it would be greatly appreciated, and subscribing to the channel if you're getting value from what we do here. And don't forget, guys, the reality-based store is live. It is going to keep you armed and dangerous with the most based merch in the entire world, especially our counterculture line, and we'll have more drops coming in the future. So if you guys want to have some extremely based merch and just say it with your chest, or if you know someone based, then just hit those links below. Let's get back to it.
Let's see what you're going to say with that. Why do you think? Tell me.
The guy's a joke.
He is?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why. And Biden's not a joke.
Well, we can talk about Biden.
Oh, because Biden's like the GOAT and Trump's the joke.
No.
Okay, so
I'm critical
tell us
of
why
Biden,
he's a joke.
But I think it's important to say, are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Biden?
If he continues, and there's no COVID, he would get reelected. Do you think, let's specifically target the middle. Forget the people on the side that would show up. Okay?
Well, but why? That's
the question I want to do with you right now. So if we specifically focus on the middle, the independent, the libertarians, would they have chosen to stick with Trump, or would most have wanted to replace him with somebody else?
It's a polling question. I don't have the data.
Well, you're the poll guy, so I'm asking you.
I don't have the data in front of me.
Okay, I'd be curious to know. So but you're also correcting me to say that's not true. That's the middle and the independents that didn't elect him. You're saying it's who showed up that elected him.
As a general concept, elections swing less based on independents who sometimes vote Republican and Democrat. That's a small factor. A bigger factor is, are voters activated by their candidate, or are they deactivated where they go, I don't like this person, but I'm definitely not voting for that one. I'll stay home.
So isn't it a bit of both, though?
It's a bit of both.
Because we all saw what happened in the Rust Belt. We've seen countless stories about, I voted for Obama. I'm not racist. I voted for Obama. What are you talking about? I voted for Bush, then I voted for Obama, and then Trump showed up. He made some promises. He was in the Midwest. He was out there. He was reaching out, touching hands. Hillary was too busy in New Mexico and Arizona. I decided to vote for Trump. I was sort of done with Trump. Now I'm back on Biden.
Yeah,
we see so many stories like that. These independents.
That's an anecdote, and so I think anecdotes are fine. But one of the things that is important is to zoom out from anecdotes and to look at the broader data.
Why would the independents, the ones in the middle, who are, let's just say, slightly more reasonable, and they're willing to say, I don't like this guy on the left, I'm going to vote right. I don't like this guy on the right, I'm going to vote left.
Yeah.
Why would they have still chosen Trump over Biden?
I have no idea. You'd have to talk to them. I just don't know.
But you're given your arguments, and so your arguments you're given is you're talking about polls like Biden because America's more respected under Biden than Trump. Okay,
so that has nothing to do with American voters. We're talking about people in other countries.
But totally get it.
Yeah.
But when you say something like that, the voter says, "Oh wow, the world respects Biden more than they respect Trump."
Sure.
Okay. Somebody may say, "Well, maybe because anybody who was an enemy of America hated Trump because Trump would." Deal more directly with them than Biden would. Biden, you can't necessarily see him. He doesn't look like a leader. He's not an Obama-esque. He's not a Clinton guy. Biden doesn't come across as a strong leader. But you're saying he's more respected than Trump. Great, no problem.
Okay.
So then I go and I ask you a question and I say, if COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected? Yes. Why? You say because more people show up. This whole narrative about the fact that you need the middle voter to tip them, that's not true. It's how many people show up, and it's his people because his people don't care if he gets anything done. And that's what you said. That was your narrative, right?
Yeah,
that's what you said. Those were your words.
Some of those words mirror the things that I said. Yes.
Okay. So it activates, which means so Trump's voters. So give me. When you say I speak to a lot of these Trump voters, there's obviously a lot of animosity in you. You have a lot of resentment or animosity towards them. I don't know why, but you seem angry and upset towards Trump. I mean, your comments towards Trump is boom. Voters are this, voters are that.
Well, I think
to you,
the problem may be with that. I have to interrupt that.
But I get that. So what is the what?
So just quickly, Pat was absolutely right about this. He was so correct when he acknowledged the steam emanating from David Pakman's paws when he talks about Trump and MAGA supporters.
The MAGA people were supporting Trump and sobbing and anointing themselves with various substances and burning incense.
The resentment that he possesses for Trump and for MAGA supporters is palpable. And the worst part about it is that he constantly tries to mask it with these snarky, bitchy little comments. Comments that have a lot of subtext, but they're not just direct. Doesn't actually say what he means. He tries to dance around it. Really feminine stuff. And in the next bit, he really gives the game away. Watch Parkman do mental gymnastics here to basically call MAGA supporters low IQ idiots.
And you can answer all those questions and I'll give you your time.
I'm not remembering all of them, but I'll try to write them down.
What is the DNA of a typical MAGA voter in your eyes?
There's not any typical DNA. I think there's basically three primary categories of people that vote for Republicans, and Trump introduced a fourth. Fair to introduce these four categories?
Break it down for us. For us that, we don't have your intelligence.
Well, it's not about intelligence. Yeah. And I don't know if you're being sarcastic. It's not about intelligence. It's just about have you researched.
This is your world. Okay, so this is your world. So tell us what you think about the three and the fourth.
With your intelligence, imagine what you could do if you looked up the things I look up. That's really the incredible. Yeah. Okay, no. So in all seriousness, four basic groups. Pre-Trump, you had three groups. You had sort of pro-business, low-tax right-wingers, people like Mitt Romney, basically. They are, Romney maybe isn't a little bit of an exception because as a Mormon, he has some socially conservative views, but you've got like your Romney type who's concerned with let's not over-regulate businesses, let's not have taxes that are too high, let's create a good business environment. As governor of Massachusetts, that was sort of his idea, and that's a very blue state, and he did well. So you've got like your Romney types.
Traditional, low-tax, limited government.
Yeah.
Republican,
not extreme,
millionaire,
not extreme right on social issues
type people,
not particularly homophobic, for example, or okay. Then you've got your more libertarian-minded people. I found it interesting when you said you're independent and libertarians. In the U.S., libertarians are mostly right-wing, and they mostly vote for Republicans. So then you've got your very libertarian-minded people, whose focus is that we want just as much freedom to do as much stuff as possible. It often includes freedom to discriminate if I don't want to do like a gay wedding cake, that you've got that group. You then have evangelical and religious voters whose primary things are less economic.
So what was your second one? Second one is
libertarians.
Libertarian. Okay.
Third, you've got your evangelical religious
the Mike Pence
voters.
vote, if you will.
More the Mike Pence vote, people for whom abortion and gay marriage and more recently, trans stuff, that's really the most important. They'll go with the economic stuff, even though it's actually often not good for them. And you started to see this under Reagan a lot, where these religious voters, they went with Reagan, even though economically it wasn't the best thing for them. Those are typically the three groups.
You hear the common term, they're voting against their interests because they have social ideology that they gravitate towards.
So you've got those three groups. Trump had all of that. The early Ted Cruz support in 2016 is that third group, that evangelical. That eventually went to Trump. Trump coalesced these groups because they really weren't going to vote for Hillary. The fourth group, which Trump kind of created, is people who were not at all engaged with politics before. They didn't pay attention. They knew Trump as a celebrity. They didn't really have a political identity. They were disaffected. They weren't really participating before.
So 4 is his personality, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. They got brought in specifically.
you said he introduced that? That's been around for a while, though.
He introduced what?
You're saying Trump introduced the 4th. You said typically it's 3.
Oh, yeah.
But Trump introduced the 4th, or Trump has the 4th?
Trump
activated
Trump
the 4th.
activated this fourth group, which was people who were not in any of those 3 categories I mentioned and got engaged in politics for the first time because they heard Trump say something that they liked. Either
Give some examples of those type of. Are you talking about West Virginia coal miners or people in the deep red South?
They were from all over, but it was people who liked that Trump was going to fix trade with China. A lot of them didn't really know what that meant, but it sounded pretty good. Maybe the person had lost a job. They came to believe it's because of China that I lost my job. That sounds good. Or people who are on immigration, they're like, the wall, of course, you and I know you're never building a wall, never mind Mexico's going to pay for it. But there were people who like the idea, never were in politics, like, no, it sounds good, I'm voting for Trump. So he brought in this fourth group.
So I'm sure you caught that there, guys, but what he's saying is a big flaming pile of horse shit that aged like warm milk. I mean, his observation of the first 3 groups was, I guess, correct. I mean, you do have the Romney type voters, the low taxes, milk toast type conservatives, and you do have the libertarian right voters, and then you do also have the evangelicals. But to say that Trump's base and the MAGA people that he has awoken are all of these basically low IQ voters who just hear something and they like it and they say, I'm going to vote for that guy. To say this is in no uncertain way to say that Trump has just got these real low IQ idiots voting for him. He's saying that MAGA supporters are stupid. And I mean, it's just so typical of these smug, fart-sniffing New York liberals. They genuinely view the rural red Americans similar to the shit beneath their shoe. He also called a bunch of them homophobic during that, and just the notion that they hear something, just one thing, and they don't understand it at all and they want to vote. What a smug prick. But also, it's just factually incorrect because, in case you didn't notice, David, and I mean, it's clear now with all the data, Trump won the popular vote. He had a massive, massive turnout. So he actually took quite a bit of the center and a fair few from the left as well. I mean, anecdotal, I know, but RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and the likes. And in terms of the Republican base, they thought that he might have a problem with the evangelicals because of some of his social policies, but no, he won 82% of them. So it appears as though the numbers are in and the data is in, and America told people like David Pakman to kick rocks. So now let's watch the last bit where PBD just goes a bit mask off and just shows how much he hates David Pakman. And I don't know how he lasted 30 minutes without doing this. He also uses Pakman's standards against him, which you'll pick up.
If you were to ask the average person who voted for Biden,
Sure.
They didn't vote for Biden.
Okay.
They voted against Trump.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
I'd have to look at exit polls. Is that true?
So is that what you go to?
Something like
for
that.
For a guy who, if this is your space,
yeah.
What's your podcast about?
What is it about?
What's your show about?
News and politics.
You should know this stuff. You're the expert. I brought you here.
I just don't remember that offhand. Let's find it right now.
But this is your world. Like if you ask me questions on business, I'm going to say, let me give you my feedback on what I think about business.
Yeah.
You invite me on your podcast, and hey, Pat, I want to talk about business.
Let's do that.
I have no problem with it to do that part. But what I'm saying to you is, if you're coming here, saying what you're saying,
sure,
and then I ask you a simple question of, so the same thing can be said about people that voted for Biden. Yeah, I'm going to vote for anybody. Dude, nobody would show up when Biden would speak. Did you not see his tour when he was going campaigning?
Patrick, you're not really doing this, are you?
You're
doing this?
I'm actually curious where you're going to go now.
Biden wasn't even doing events where, this is the Biden one from the basement thing.
Yeah.
I have a counter to this entire, and I want to just be really clear. I don't really care about defending Biden in any particular sense. I just think he was the better option than Trump. I feel like I'm being framed as this Biden lover who's going to defend everything Biden
I'm not
did.
doing that. You may be thinking I'm not doing that to you. What I'm asking,
what I want to say about this is,
can you pull up Biden's rallies when he was running for president? Go ahead. Let's see the pictures. But go ahead.
Biden didn't do a campaign the way Trump did it. And the funniest thing to me about
neither has anybody done it like the way Biden's done it. He hid.
Well,
But hold the guys.
this was during COVID, though.
Yes. Let's back up for a second.
Look how beautiful that is.
Well,
These are
because
COVID
it's
rallies.
COVID.
Oh, stop it.
Patrick,
You gotta be
can I
kidding
tell
me.
you
That-
something?
Pat, though.
This is really the.
You're
the height
telling
of
me
COVID.
you're
You
okay,
seem silly
so
when you do
here's
this.
here's what I'm willing to do. Here's what I'm willing to do.
Please.
I'm willing to give him
Yeah.
$1 million of my own money right now to go try to fill up an arena.
For what? What's the point?
Oh no.
To show that nobody is inspired by this guy.
This is so
not,
silly.
No,
No,
but
what's
serious,
silly
Patrick.
is for you to assume people voted for Biden. They voted against Trump, is what they did.
Many did. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
but you just said.
I said I don't
5
know what the
minutes- yeah.
percentage is.
But
All I'm
that's-
saying is I don't
but
know
it's
the
your
percentage.
world, though. This is like if you're gonna sit here and sell, talk about how bad the Trump voter is, and let me tell you, these people, all they care about is his personality for it,
Patrick.
outside of the taxes and all this other stuff. And then I ask you a question, and I say, so why did people vote for Biden? Many of them voted because they just didn't want Trump. Yeah, I don't know the numbers on that. You should know those numbers.
What? I just don't know that offhand. I mean, we can look it up. Why do I need to memorize?
Can I make a quick point?
Can I just get?
Yeah.
There's just one thing I want to say here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This entire Biden hid stuff. It's such a self
Hit or hit?
hid
Okay,
in his
yeah.
basement.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about the
He
pictures are
did
gone.
though. He hit a lot of times, but
Can I get a statement out? Okay. If I were on the right, I would stop saying that because it's embarrassing to Trump that he lost to a guy who hid in his
actually not.
basement.
It's not.
That's the crazy
dude,
thing.
your
I would
president,
stop
your
talking
guy,
about that.
Joe Biden, is the greatest hide and go seek champion of all time. That's
Wait,
who
hold
he
on a
is.
sec. When is he not? He's not your president.
He's my president.
Oh,
but
okay.
but
He's our president.
But he's your guy. He's the
In
guy
what
you're
sense?
defending. You're defending him right now to say
Only that he's better than Trump because you're making me do this.
the only reason that there's no way in even the liberals today are not saying he's better than Trump in executing or taking action or doing anything.
Let's find that-
The
find that
only
poll.
the
Where's that
only
poll?
credit. Well, at this point, you've lost credibility to talk about polls because you don't even know what you're talking about when you're saying.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if the people were voting against Trump. Let's find a poll. So if you can't agree
I said
to that
I don't
part,
know how many. Of course they were.
it's not just
course
how
they
many. It's if you go on look at any of these people who were doing what do you call it? Street when they're going talking to people
Street
and they're doing-
interviews?
yeah, it's like, hey, so tell me, who would you vote here? Trump's the worst. I would never vote for him. People didn't want to vote for this guy
Yeah.
because 99% of the media, everybody was sitting there bashing him nonstop. By the way, same thing's going to happen with DeSantis.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Bush. The only Republicans Democrats like is ex-presidents who are now painters. That's the only Republicans Democrats like because they're no longer a threat.
Okay.
Trump's a big threat. So for you to say, well, we now have respect around the world.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I want that. I think if there's an element of competition,
Yeah.
because I think if China has to choose between Trump or Biden, and China would rather have Biden, that's probably not a good sign for me.
Okay. Is it a good sign if Russia wants Trump? I mean, this is kind of a silly game, right?
No, but Russia is not our number one enemy. Russia doesn't control 80% of chips. Russia is not as powerful as people think they are. They have a lot of nukes. They lead the world. Totally get it. But we're seeing right now what's happening to Russia. Russia is more, they're powerful. You got to put them up there. They're strong. But China is really, really strong in experience. China hates America. China doesn't, they've publicly announced what they're going to be doing. You know, there's a very big difference between China and Russia. And by the way, I'm not sitting here telling you we got to be best friends with Russia. But if China likes a president over another one, that is a red flag for me.
Yeah, it's not rare as a view on the American right that is generally, who cares what other countries think? I would almost rather they hate us. That's really common.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm not
That's
saying
what you were
did.
saying.
And
I want to
that's
see a
really
poll
common.
on that. Do you have a poll on that?
Not offhand.
Then
but
how could you say, why, do you have a poll? Give me a poll.
Patrick,
But no, give me a poll because that's an anecdote now.
we can use this to stop any conversation.
But you're
hold on a
doing
second.
that. But that's what you're
But
doing,
you
though.
just did it with
But
the polls about
but
liberals
you're the
no longer
expert.
like
You're the
Biden.
political expert. I'm not.
Come on. This
You're
is
the
so
political
silly.
expert. What you
This is
just
so
did. No,
silly.
you're being silly. So I'm giving you exactly what you've been doing for the first 30 minutes. Now it officially bothers you.
No, it doesn't bother me. I think it's silly. I think we don't get anywhere.
But wait a minute. But what you're saying is that if the argument you give, I said, show me a poll.
Yeah.
Show it to me. You can't do it.
There's a difference between you
what?
saying that there's a specific opinion among voters that they were motivated by a particular reason. We have polling on that. We just have to find it.
You like to use that, but not when it works against you. Yeah, I didn't say hate. I'm not a hate guy. If I was a hate guy, you wouldn't be here today.
I didn't say that.
No, you said most Republicans would prefer if other countries hated us. You're assuming.
I didn't say most. Run it back.
Wait, you didn't say what?
I didn't say most.
You said what?
I said there is a contingent on the right, that actually is emboldened by if they don't.
How small of a community is that?
Don't know.
So you're going to take the exception and you're going to make that argument?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Patrick, I'm verklempt.
Yeah. You and I both.
You and Linda Richmond.
We're going tangent where we can't really drill down on any one issue.
I'm saying to you, hate is not, if I had hate, I would have not had you on.
And that's what you call a checkmate. It's literally the exact standard that he was using before when people were making any claims. He was saying, oh, but where's the data? Where's the data? What's the data on that?
Where's the data? No data.
Oh, that's just an anecdote. And then when PBD does the exact same thing against him, he's being silly and he's derailing the conversation.
You're the political expert.
I think it's silly.
No, you're being silly.
It's really a good lesson in how to be bad faith if you want to do that, but also a very good lesson in how to listen very closely to your opponent and listen to exactly what they're saying, what standard they are using, and then if it is an unreasonable standard, then you just flip the switch on them and just hold them to their exact same position. What a weasel. Anyways, guys, don't forget to check out the most based store in the world, the reality-based store, down below. Like the video if you haven't already, and if you would like to subscribe to the channel, you are more than welcome to do so. And if you'd like to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.